how is this actually going on? First, if you look at the timelines, it will seem as if it is all the time that there is some form of festivities or leading to festivities, whether it's the Eid, whether it's Christmas or New Year, that you get to see such attacks.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I would want to take it from a historical point of view.
Oh.
Okay. You see, the British created all the problems that we are grappling with here today in Nigeria.
You take it way back.
Yes. You see, because the tragedy of our collectivity is that we like addressing problems from the top of a tree rather than going to the roots of where the problems are actually coming from. Particularly when the British came, the problem we're dealing with as a country today, not just the issue on the Plateau, different middle belt states, and even part of, southeast, southwest, almost all of the country has been enmeshed in all manner, of bloodletting, that Nigeria has almost become a theater for violence. The problem emerges from the imposition of an exploitative colonial political economy, because the colonial political economy that the British imposed on this country is quite exploitative. But more perniciously, what we're dealing with today arose from the ascension of a degenerate and bankrupt indigenous leadership that has failed to either transform or reform that exploitative colonial political economy to attack inequality. Now, where individuals have an equal access to valid resources and services, uncertainty will be created. Now, let me take you down memory lane. When the British came, they did a social stratification of the Nigerian society. They placed the Anglo-Saxons at the top of the pyramid or the hierarchy. Under them are the Teutonic races. When I talk of the Anglo-Saxons, I'm talking about the British and the whole of Europe. Under them, we have the Teutonic races, that's the Asians, the Red Indians. Under them, we have the white Arabs. And under the white Arabs, we have the Fulani, and under the Fulani, we have the Hausa. And under the Hausa, we now have the child or pagan races. That is any other ethnic nationality that is not part of the Sokoto Caliphate. And that is what makes up the Middle Belt. Now, in particular, that particular social stratification now created a relationship of superiority and inferiority. Why would I ordinarily want to invade your land, take that land from you, kill you, maim you, and rename that place? It's because, first and foremost, I don't think you're even as, you are a human being like me, or you are worthy of respect, dignity, or integrity. For you to be a human being means that you have an inalienable right to exist. The dignity you have is inherent in you. It's not something that you acquire either through education or social status or anything that is external. It is something that God has endowed you with. However, because of what the British did, it now created a relationship of subordination, a relationship of inferiority and superiority. That is why you discover that those who unleash these attacks on innocent citizens, on communities that have been peaceful, particularly Mango local government, where the governor of Plateau State presently comes from. Since 2001 that there have been crisis on the Plateau, there has never been any crisis in any of the wards or any villages of Mango local government. Suddenly, when somebody from there became the governor, that's the present governor, the entire theater of violence now relocated to that place. So, well, we'll come back to the political equation as to all of these issues. But what I want you to understand is this. Somebody feels he has rights to the land that these communities are inhabiting, which is their own ancestral land. And land is something that is given to you by God. Nobody can give you land. You could only acquire possession through maybe buying the place, or maybe through conquest, or maybe the land is given to you freely. But the only person who gives land to any human being is God.
So now let's, now you say this is about a complex festival, yes, talking about a caste system whereby some feel that they are superior than others. And in other words, we should know who the marauders, the terrorists are.
Sir, while I was driving down from Jos to this place, I received a call. A letter was sent to my own village that the attackers are going to invade on the 29th of this December. And I want to assure you.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
A letter about an impending invasion,
All
was
of the
sent
attacks,
to your community.
Yes. All the attacks that were orchestrated, there was a letter to that effect that was dropped by an anonymous person, intimating the residents of Mangu local government, to be precise, that you will be attacked.
And when that does happen, for instance, in this case, does anyone report to the police or the authorities?
They received about 37 distress calls. That is Operation Safe Haven, or the Joint Task Force. About 37 distress calls, yet nothing was done.
But in those communities, we also understand that there are some Fulanis who also live in those communities. They were also caught in that attack.
Well, I want to assure you that that is a narrative that cannot be substantiated, because all the casualties that we're talking about are in communities inhabited by Christians. And the security forces know the attackers. They even know their hideout. For the past 2 decades, they know where they orchestrate all of these attacks, because that autonomous community called Mahanga, which is at the foot of the Bokos Hills, bordering Wamba in Nasarawa State to the south, is this autonomous community from where these attacks are orchestrated. Just the same way we have in the Mandara Hills, in Borno State. For instance, the military relocated an entire community of over 11,000 people, leaving the entire Damboa road free for the terrorists to operate freely. They even collect tolls on the roads, as if we were in a Banana Republic. Section 14B of the 1999 Constitution, as amended, stipulates that the welfare and security of the people shall be the primary purpose of government, without which government loses its legitimacy.
You know, but before we let you go, because we're trying to get a sense of what exactly we're dealing with, and if we say there are warnings, and again there's another warning about a coming attack. You say, let's get this straight. You're saying that these warnings are also communicated to the authorities, and still nothing is done to protect the people.
Yes, and these attacks could last for as long as 12 to 24 hours, and there is no security presence whatsoever. All the attacks
and in this coming attack, or that a letter has been communicated to the community, you don't mind naming the communities, perhaps?
Pushit community in Mangu local government area. Pushit, P-U-S-H-I-T.
Pushit community
in Mangu local government area of Plateau State. A letter was sent today that they are going to attack on the 29th. And I want to assure you that
anything changed apart from these communications since the president ordered a pursuit and possible apprehension of those who carried out this attack? Has anything happened?
No, the attacks are still going on, and there is any response from the security authorities. And I want you to know something. General T.Y. Danjuma alleged that the military colludes with these insurgents or terrorists to unleash terror on unsuspecting or innocent citizens. The entire Nigerian space was caught up with a lot of, all manner of accusations, name calling, and all of that. Are we not seeing that happening today?
You're an academic and a researcher. How does it work that a country's army that is peopled by people of different faith and cultures and tradition will, look the other way collectively, irrespective of what kind of attack that would come to their own people? So it lays a question mark on what the revered general had said some years ago, because I'm quite sure you're talking about what he said years ago.
That's right. Sir, let me just give you a classical example. How could a community be invaded, the inhabitants dislodged, and that community is renamed by the Fulani, and they still inhabit that community, and the security doesn't do anything about that? Government does not do anything about that. There are more than 37 communities that have been taken over and renamed by the Fulani in Plateau State.
Do the people also vote in elections?
Of course.
And does INEC use the new name that has been so called by the terrorist as catchment or identification for those communities?
That is what I cannot say, because that is not within within my own knowledge to either attest to whether INEC has
so,
reflected
Dr. Kavwam,
those
before we let you
changes.
go,
Yes.
what should we be looking to doing now? You're speaking on behalf of the people.
Yeah.
What are the demands of the people? How can we get this, get justice?
The demands of our people in the Middle Belt, particularly on the Plateau, is that one, we are being hunted like dogs, being killed, massacred in cold blood, and there is not any intervention whatsoever that comes from government. In Mangu local government, for instance, the IDP camp keeps exploding with what? With internally displaced persons who come to those camps. There is no any psychosocial support whatsoever. Imagine the trauma of losing your means of livelihood, losing your children, and everything that perhaps you depend on. Yet there is no any rehabilitation whatsoever, no any psychosocial support. They can hardly even feed. Some of them were in school and they had their entire education cut off. And at the end of the day, government should ordinarily realize that we are all citizens of this country and we should be treated equally. And beyond that, we understand that these attacks are being orchestrated in a manner that we cannot in any way there is no way the security can absorb itself from liability, because they do announce before they come. They come in thousands. Where would they ordinarily, how could 1,000 people, invade a local government area and there are security agencies within all of those areas? How do they manage to pass? And how do they acquire their weapons?